Test.
Yeah,
Are you sure it's loud enough? Because I'm not doing this again if it's not.
I have my headphones on, and we sound amazing now.
Okay. Welcome to the Culture Edit. Unique perspectives into the personal and professional lives of individuals at the helm of successful business, athletics, art, and design. Welcome to the Culture Edit for the second time because we messed up the first recording that we just spent 30 minutes on because the volume was too low.
Well, people won't know that it's the second time, but now you've told them, we are recording. We're saying the exact same words for the second time within a 20-minute time frame.
Yes.
Which is really fun. It's really awesome to do that.
Especially when we have a lot of other work we need to get done.
Yeah, it's a little stressful, and I am so annoyed right now because it's like I broke my number one rules because I'm the sound guy. Mm-hmm. Wasn't listening, didn't have the cans on, didn't double check, do a pre-record, and I'm still breaking a rule right now. I don't have my backup running, but I'm watching it. I've got eyeballs on it, and I couldn't see it either. That was the other thing.
You're going to have to do a solo recording.
For the people to know, we made the mistake of trying to test video for the last episode. That threw everything off, threw off the whole process. That's in the garbage can now. Videodrome. We're back. I wish we were the Videodrome in Girona. We are back to our normal crisp and clear. Oh yeah, it was Velodrome.
Yeah.
Crisp and clear audio sound that you are all used to from the Culture Edit. Chad and Nikki Strickland, your host.
Yes. Videodrome is the place in the Virginia Highlands. That it's kind of creepy. But I imagine that when you walk in there, I've never been, that they go, "Welcome to Videodrome."
I went there one time probably, oh man, it would have been like 2004.
Yeah.
And because it was a video rental store.
It's not too long ago, only like 21 years.
Yeah, 21 years ago. So I went in there 21 years ago. It was creepy then.
Yeah.
And that was when Blockbuster still existed. They're still open. They're still
it's the only thing surviving in Inman Park in the Highlands.
They're still allegedly renting videos. No one actually believes that.
It has to be that they obviously own the building and they just make enough money to pay the taxes on the place.
Or it's some type of money laundering situation.
I guess it would be pretty smart to launder money through videos that no one uses anymore.
Yeah.
Because you could just, but then, no, I don't really understand that.
Well, you could say you're constantly buying
old videos
that are like way marked up.
Yeah.
This is super rare Blu-ray DVD of Apocalypse Now that Martin Scorsese signed, so I had to pay $2,100 for it.
Well, if anyone out there that listens to this podcast understands money laundering, then send us a DM because we're interested.
I won't say it. I would say I was going to say a name and we'll bleep it out.
Yeah.
But I won't.
Okay.
Real quick, not that he's a good money launderer, but I meant to tell you this story the other day that I remembered while we were watching something. We were talking about standing in line, how much we hate standing in line. Oh, it was when we saw people standing in line at the gelato places.
Yes, I don't get it.
I had a friend that acquaintance that absolutely refused to stand in line.
It's very mysterious.
And so when we graduated law school, he came up with this genius plan. And now there's about 4 or 5 guys that are going to start laughing their ass off when I talk about this, where he had business cards printed that said he was the general manager of Planet Hollywood.
What?
So when we would go to bars and clubs and stuff, he would go up to the front and go, hey man, I'm the general manager.
Wait, so Planet Hollywood was relevant back then?
Yeah. But here's the beauty of it. It was such a big entity that people in a random club in Atlanta or people in a random club in Tampa, which is where this was happening. Did we have a
Planet Hollywood in Atlanta?
Yeah, we did. Downtown. But people wouldn't know. And so, but there was this industry reciprocal thing.
It's fear.
Well, no, it was industry reciprocation. They'd be like, oh, well, we can't let the GM or
I feel like we could do this today.
And so we never waited in line. It worked 100 out of 100 times. Every single time. We never waited in line. We always skipped the line. And it was thanks to Sean Moyles. So thank you, Sean Moyles.
Oh Oh my gosh, I can't wait to bleep out his name. Or maybe I won't bleep out his name.
No, screw that. We're leaving it in. He doesn't listen anyway.
That's true. He's like the only friend that doesn't
and
listen.
Todd do, so they'll think it's fine. Maybe a little Penny. Yeah.
I would have guessed. No, actually, yeah, I guess Sean, because he's like the salesman. Like he's definitely the salesman of like trying to convince people to like schmooze. And everything.
It worked 100% of the time.
He's very convincing.
Never once. And then like other guys tried to do this. Like I think Ed like created like a Hard Rock Cafe thing, and like
it didn't work.
It did, like sometimes it works anyway, but like Sean every single time.
That's because Sean looks like a general manager of a Planet Hollywood.
I think actually it was more of like an executive. I think he made himself like an executive. I think he was like vice president of like, talent.
To me, he looks like he's like slinging like alcoholic slushies, like Planet Hollywood slushies.
Yeah. But anyway, I thought about that the other day and I wanted to save it for the podcast, so I did.
Wow, that's amazing. Wow, we really went off track here because we didn't actually talk about that in the first recording. That was really funny.
No, we didn't.
So what today's episode is actually about is our trip to Girona to the Traka. And we were able to catch up with a former guest of the pod, Joe Laverick, and talk to him post-Traka about just everything that like went on, everything that we experienced. But before we get into that, we went to Girona in 2018, and I won't like go on too long. But we were kind of underwhelmed by it in 2018. We went on a Rafa trip, and yeah, it just wasn't like built out the way it is now. We were shocked at how amazing Girona is in 2025. Like the stores, the restaurants, the food, the people. I mean, the vibe, it's just amazing.
Way more developed, way more active. Yeah. And I think also when we went, maybe it was dead. Like, maybe. I think that was it too. Like, I don't remember when we went. I think it was like October or something. No, I think actually it wasn't. Was it in April?
No idea.
Would have been around the same time.
That was one of those vacations that like I don't remember any part of it because I'm not quite sure that I enjoyed.
Well, we had to cancel our trip to Strada Bianchi. So this is the year Strada Bianchi had the crazy snowstorm. We were going to not go into
detail into this.
And then we went on this instead because we had already paid for the trip. I don't remember what we did after that either. I think we just went to Barcelona.
No idea.
Anyway, so I had a little bit higher expectations because Michael lived there for the last 3 years. So how much they loved it. So many, like we have friends that live there. Obviously, Joe, Andy, Luke, like all these guys that we know.
And we saw Fabian.
We saw Fabian. We didn't get to see Sarah.
But she's actually working for Traka, so she was hard at work putting the entire event on.
That's true.
So we missed her, but great job.
And maybe we shouldn't tag them in this because we have a little bit of criticisms for the Traka. But yeah, so we went there and it was the center of the cycling world while we were there. 4,000 participants, thousands more were there just to participate. We had meetings, several different type of meetings with potential partners. And so it was a little bit of a work trip for us when we got there, but we knew the second half of our trip, really the second 2/3 of our trip, we were going to go to Côte d'Azur. So we wanted to make sure that we didn't do anything stupid while we were there.
Yeah.
And by stupid, like crash and get hurt. Yeah, we were pretty blown away by the scene. It was pretty awesome. Town was awesome. The people were awesome.
Highly recommend.
Got to catch up with everyone. Luke Lamperti took us to a restaurant called Bestia, which was awesome. It was
I think that was one of our favorite places that we went.
Yeah, except Luke snuck in, paying for everyone, which
we really appreciate. But it was like a battle of the like card tapping.
Exactly.
So like the guy came to the table and he's like, "Who's paying for the bill?" And we all like pulled out our cards. And before I could tap my card or Alan could tap his card, Luke just like, boom, tapped the card. And it was
fast.
over. And it was over.
He's fast.
He's fast. He's younger than all of us. He's faster than all of us.
Fast.
We appreciate it.
Thanks, Luke. Thanks for that.
Yeah, great
that
night
was
out.
a lot of fun. We got to catch up with, obviously with Joe, which we'll be playing here in a second, which was recorded in our Airbnb, which was really nice.
Yeah, we were in like a good area.
We stayed in the building, and we didn't realize this until we got there.
Yeah.
So we sent Michael a video or picture where we were.
You took a picture of me having Aperol Spritz, and he was like, "No, you were literally in the building across from where I lived."
Yeah.
And it's in this cute little square that doesn't have a name, but it's there's a Cafe Lola or Vermutaria Lola, and then also there was a natural wine bar below it as well. And we kind of didn't, we left the square, but we didn't leave the square. We went to those same places multiple times because The vibes were awesome. Oh, and we saw Artem. We can't forget that we saw Artem as well, local Atlanta kid that is now on Ineos. So there's a lot of Atlanta talent.
We got to catch Artem with a couple times.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that just tells you how crazy it was to go to Girona to see Artem, Andy, Joe, Luke, like Fabian, like all these people that we don't get to see in person that often.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone was there, which was really cool. Got to catch up with our friends at Basso Bikes, and had a really great time meeting Leonardo. And that was really cool as well. I
just like saying names like with the Italian
I was trying to look and see what was the name of the natural wine bar.
It was like I don't want to say Giardia because that's not good. That's like a disease.
So favorite places, definitely, we went to Idle Hands too. Joe took us there for lunch, which I know is
La Garina.
Garina. Like everyone loves that place.
You have to say it. You can't.
Garina. I can't. But they were really cool there. Everyone was like super nice.
Everyone was great. Yeah.
Cipresia was really nice.
Cipresia.
Nice restaurant
They
there.
also had 1 Michelin stars.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
Shout out to my friends at Eat Sleep Cycle for bailing us out. We needed a very specific tiny little part. We needed a spacer for a Palta, a Basso Palta, and they had one.
Yeah.
They were able to find it for us. They were really friendly there.
And they also had pedals because I forgot my pedals.
Well, I forgot your pedals.
Well, I wasn't going to blame you. I just was trying to,
Because I packed the bikes.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. Actually is good because I want to follow up on the feedback that we had from our last episode with Peter Mullins.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for that feedback. We knew you guys were going to love it.
I got a lot of really good feedback on my accent. PETA says that they're going to adopt me into Australian culture now.
Nikki's intro, which might have been after a cocktail or two. But it's
neither here nor there.
But I did forget your pedals as well as several other very important items like a pump and a PSI gauge. And I was like, because I had Peter Mullins in the garage instructing me as I was packing bikes, and which is a very distracting thing to do.
So you're saying it's PETA's fault?
Yeah. Because I know she's listening. I just want you to know nothing was too substantial, but we never knew what PSI we were running, which to gravel races kind of critically important. But it's fine. It worked out.
Also, full transparency, I did not do the gravel race because on the morning of my gravel race, I'd pre-rode the course and I was like, F this. This is too technical for my liking. And I haven't ridden my gravel bike since last Steamboat. So from a logical...
It's last August, by the way.
Yes. From a common sense perspective, I decided, you know what, let's just go running instead. It was also torrential downpour during my race as well, so I'm glad that I decided not to do it. Chad attempted his race, but also decided that death was not the right choice on vacation and made it about 4 hours and decided to pull the plug.
Well, we both knew going into this, you haven't been able to ride, obviously recovering from anemia. All of our listeners know that.
All of our excuse spam.
Disrupted disc, L5, S1 here. Couldn't walk 2 weeks before this thing. So I think we both went into it. And we took our doctor with us, obviously.
Yeah, just in case.
Just to make sure we were fully prepared.
But I didn't want to have to put him to work on his vacation, so I also was just trying to be respectful of his time.
Yeah. But we do, half the time.
Yeah, sometimes. But mostly you.
And it was the first hour of the 200-kilometer race is just straight uphill. And it's steep and it's hard. I was in the first corral, which was nice because I felt like shit and I got to have thousands of people going around me. And then, I was descending the first descent and crashed. Slow speed crash. I was saving it.
Yeah.
I actually thought I was going to save it. And you and I had talked beforehand, let's not do anything stupid that will screw up the rest of the trip because that's really what was important because we wanted to have an actual vacation after this. So that was just in my mind. Not being able to walk was in my mind. And so after about 4 hours, I pulled the plug because it's dangerous. And you'll hear us talk about this with Joe. We jump right into that. Joe's not a fan. And I edited this. I know it sounds a little negative about the Traka. I think there's definitely I would say there's definitely some misguided perceptions around what this event is like based on the hype it gets.
Yeah.
It definitely is a very difficult, hard, borderline stupid event. And it just was really risky. I saw a lot of people really hurt. And that also gets
we saw a lot of pros. Like when we were pre-riding the course, the girl who won, her teammate, I don't know what her name is, who's an American.
Sophia?
No, but Sophia's teammate.
Oh, yeah.
She comes riding towards us, and she's like torn up from
on her pre-ride.
Like her bibs are basically off. Her hip is completely destroyed on the pre-ride. And I'm like, that's not a good sign. And then like Sophia a minute before had like face planted into like the water crossing.
Yeah.
And so I'm seeing this, and I'm like, this is not for me. Like these are professionals, and they are like messed up on the pre-ride. I haven't ridden my bike in basically 6 months. This is not for me.
Yeah, it's just a very technical course. And it's one of those things, I think why you'll hear us talking about with Joe, it's one of those things that doesn't have to be like this. And that's what's annoying about it. It's like, we talked about like Big Sugar, like we love Big Sugar, and it was like a difficult course, but there was no other option. Here, there's like, you'll have like a perfectly smooth gravel road where you're descending. And you'll hear us talk about this. Then we just take a right-hand turn into a rock garden single track on a gravel bike.
I think it's fine. Like, look, the race organizers and the race owner, they can do whatever they want. It's their race. But I think, and I can't really talk because honestly, I was relying on you for like all of my information. I really didn't care to look up any information about it before we got there because my main focus was getting to Nice and enjoying that time. I really didn't care that much about the Traka. So I can't say that like I was misled, but you said that the social media, the communication was more like, this is like really a fun ride, or like this is challenging, but it's not like, okay, like BWR, for those that don't know what that is, it's Belgian Waffle Ride. They have a series of races around the US. They are very clear about like, this is so hard. You're going to die. You're going to fall off a cliff. If you can't handle your bike, you will definitely fall off a cliff.
There's like a 20-page race Bible about how
dangerous
difficult and hard and you probably shouldn't do this.
And so going into those races, I had been training so much, and we had been going to the mountains and doing like super technical descents and climbs just to prepare. Like, because it's more about just getting used to your bike again. Yeah. It's more just like having the confidence.
Yep.
And so it's not that like, for me, I know I can ride the course, but I didn't have the confidence because I was like, I'm just not used to being on my gravel bike right now. And so I think like being more transparent maybe about like how technical it is just, again, like make it as technical as you want, but just tell people it's technical.
Well, we get right into that with Joe. But more importantly, if you make it past that, we talk about living in Girona, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it'd be a nice
and how Girona has really changed. And then we're also going to get into the rest of his season. I mean, half of his season is over. And a lot of these privateer professional guys, they're looking at that right now. We're in May.
Yeah, that's
which is
crazy.
A crazy thing to think about. And then we also talk a little bit about what the future looks like. He had established, founded, and managed Rebel Rebellion. And so we asked him whether or not there could be another team in the future. So we get into that.
Well, I think it's going to be an exciting episode. We will we'll dive deep on our Nice trip in the next episode. So this is kind of a 2-part series. For right now, let's get on with it and talk to Joe.
All right.
I wouldn't have recommended Girona after our 2018 trip because I thought it was really boring, actually.
Yeah, it wasn't, there wasn't as much open.
No, there wasn't as much open, and yeah, it was like kind of like sleepy. But now I don't know. This is a really cool place.
Yeah,
and also this week is actually a bad week. There's almost too much going on this week, in my opinion. Like in a normal week, if you guys have 3 or 4 days, I'd struggle to find things to fill, like restaurants and cafe recommendations. Mm-hmm. You'd be like maxed out.
Yeah.
But there's almost too much cycling going on this week. It's kind of crazy.
That's what we were going to ask you is like, because we're sitting, at Eat, Sleep, Cycle, and we're like, there's just so many cyclists. Obviously, this is still a cyclist destination like all year round, but is this just like insane?
This has to be the number one.
Yeah, like right? Are there normally this many people riding around with bikes?
No, this is the craziest I've seen it, and I moved here 4.5 years ago.
Yeah.
This year the Traka has got, I say worse than any other event we've seen.
Yeah.
It goes up and down throughout the year. But my favorite time of year here is late January. It's cold, but it's not crazy. I'm from UK, like Northern
Yeah.
England, so it's not crazy cold, and it's dead. It's like there's hardly anyone here apart from people training, and then obviously everyone living normal life.
Yeah.
This time of year is beautiful, but it's like we go from Traka week, and then next week is Tempter Floors, where the whole town turns into a flower festival.
Oh.
So every single landmark building has a flower thing outside. There's like 60 of them in town.
Wow.
But it becomes one-way traffic, even for pedestrians around town. So it's hell. Like, again, great to visit for a day.
Yeah.
But if you live here, it's hell. And I've called this home for like 4.5 years, but I'm on the road 150, 200 days a year. I think if I was here full-time, it'd be overwhelming and too much. But as like a European base, it's perfect for me still.
Yeah.
I was thinking about like, and we had a feeling watching the Traka over the last few years, we kind of had a feeling that this was going to be the year that it like becomes the big thing that it, and I feel like it did. I mean, they had 4,000 people participate and thousands more were just here. And you see that with other events. Like we knew, like we felt like Steamboat was going to do the same, and it did a few years ago.
Yeah.
And like think about BWR like pre-COVID, but like Traka 2025, in my opinion, and just your thought on that, I feel like this, and I wonder why. Like, why was this the year that it blew up?
I think there's a few things. So I did Traka 2 years ago. 2023 is my first ever gravel race.
Yeah.
And it was Traka. Just something you did because you lived in Girona. It was pretty big at the time, but gravel wasn't that big at the time either. Like, we've got to remember it's come a long way in 18 months. Equally, last year here was rain all week. So a lot of things were cancelled. The course was hell to ride. You didn't want to really ride gravel at all. Like, I didn't start last year. I was jet lagged, but also the rain played a part. I'm like, nobody wants to go ride in mud for 6, 7, 8 hours.
Exactly.
And this year it's almost like the perfect storm. We've had great weather. Gravel's probably at the peak it's ever been for both pro and also
In Europe.
Yeah. I honestly think it's at peak in US as well from what it's ever been.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Participation, it makes sense. It's pretty easy to get here from all of Europe.
Yeah.
It's just a perfect timing of everything,
Yeah.
and I think it really helps that brands like Canyon and Paz Normal have got behind it, because that's elevated its profile to the normal person.
100%. Yeah.
And also the fact that if you win Traka now, you probably make a lot of money next year from the pros.
Yeah.
So a lot of people who are maybe leaving World Tour or leaving Conti teams can't get contracts. People like myself or people like Michael in the past, they almost see Traka as a springboard to the gravel circus.
Yeah.
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 That's a good point.
Which that's been happening in the U.S. for a while with events like that. But this, to me, the Traka feels like the first one in Europe that's doing that. That's allowing you
It
to
feels
do
like
that.
the Europe BWR, because BWR was when did we go to the first BWR? Was
2018.
2018.
Yeah.
And that was like a big deal. I mean, no one really had gravel. Like the pros had gravel bikes, but they were like cyclocross bikes they were using as gravel bikes. But the average person like us, we were just showing up to BWR with our road bikes. We didn't even know like what a gravel bike was.
Yeah.
So that was really I think the first big gravel race
Yeah.
that became popular in the US, and then it just grew and grew and grew. So this feels exactly like what BWR started out as, or didn't start as, but
Yeah.
turned into.
Traka does a good job with branding and marketing. I mean, and BWR does the same thing.
I
Yeah.
think this is also the only race in Europe which is anywhere close to this, because I'm from Europe and I live in Girona, but I don't like racing gravel in Europe. I think it's trying too much to be road. The UCI series I really dislike. They don't get the event side of things, and the Traka is probably the only event people are going to disagree because you have things like the Rift, but to this level of these numbers, kind of, it's a European version of Unbound or Mid-South or Steamboat. It's like, it's very much taken the American model of mass participation with a pro race at the front.
Yep.
And the brands have got behind it. It's kind of a chicken and egg situation. Like, what did come first? We can argue till the cows come home. But I can't think of any other race this side of the Atlantic which is anywhere close to what Traka has, or anywhere close to becoming what Traka is. Traka is gravel in Europe, you can argue, and you can say UCI Worlds, but you can't really say Worlds are a European race. They're a world race.
Yeah. Are there other up and coming gravel events in Europe?
There's the Rift in Iceland, which is a Gravel Earth Series race, but
Y'all consider that Europe?
just but it's like,
It's gonna be American soon.
why would you go? I think the Rift is like cool for pros. It's
Yeah.
cool if you're going on holiday to Iceland. but it doesn't have this appeal. And if you win it as a pro, it doesn't really mean that much in the grand scheme of things. It is one of the big ones, but it's not like you can go straight to brand X and say, I won the Rift.
Yeah.
Apart from this, like...
I can't even think of another. Like, I guess there's the other series that are part of the Traka, but I don't even know a single one.
Like, not being harsh, but who really cares? Like, the big races are, even if you look in the US, you have Lauf Gravel Worlds, you have even Oregon Trail is probably bigger than most races we have over here. And I think there's a big push on the UCI series over here, which I kind of think is... I've been to a few, and it's kind of like the pros are racing for the pros and then athlete managers. It's like if a tree falls in the woods and nobody hears it, does it really fall? It's like that's kind of how some of the UCIs feel. Whereas Traka, it's like you hear the tree.
Right. Yeah, it's a big tree. What? So do we want to talk about the actual event? Because, you know, we're two Americans. We live in this world. We had no idea really what we were getting ourselves into.
I didn't know what to expect from just like the event in general.
Yeah.
My biggest takeaway is how different all the guys dress here than they do in America.
Well, I wasn't going to talk about that. I was going to talk about the actual course and stuff.
Event.
But what do you mean? How are they different?
It's like crazy how people try here. Like they everyone tries to like, even though they look like they're not trying necessarily, like you can tell they really put a lot of thought.
We're talking off the bike.
Yeah, we're talking off the bike.
Off the bike, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm
wasn't
coming
sure
from
where
an
she was
off the
going
bike
with this.
perspective.
So sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, no.
When my girlfriend, who's Canadian, first moved over here, I joked that like my goal was to like turn her European.
Yeah.
And part of that was to get her out of like Lululemon head to toe and get her into Europe. Yeah. And I think I finally succeeded. And if anything, I've gone the other way because I spend so much time in the US these days. And like I'm wearing maybe 3 things which are Lulu right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, I think it's because you walk everywhere.
Maybe.
Like, you walk to the cafe, you walk to the restaurant, you walk to the bar. It's not like, I'm going to nip in the car quickly.
Yeah.
So you're seen. You're being seen because you're out in the world.
Especially in Girona.
It was just interesting. But, like, everyone kind of looks the same. Like, everyone looks like they're from Denmark. But...
I think it's Traka week and all of Pas Normal are here, so maybe everyone is just from Denmark.
That could be it, yeah. Because everyone looked like they were from Denmark.
There's a lot of Scandinavians here.
It was mind-blowing. Yeah. But anyways, that was my number one takeaway is how much better the men dress here than in America.
I mean, I think that's just in general.
Well, it's like it's like personal preference though, because I think some people would look at the guys and be like, I don't like that style. But I think
less
it's
polo
cool.
shirts.
Yeah,
Definitely.
exactly. Less like I don't because in Georgia, in Atlanta specifically, everyone is so preppy and like Southern, and so to come here, it's just like whoa, like this is like a whole style that doesn't exist at all in Atlanta.
Yeah.
But anyways, back to bikes. That was just my little side note on fashion.
I feel like there was a lot of Brits here too.
Yeah, I was
a lot
surprised.
of British accents.
I kind of like. I've been out of the UK now for 6 years, but I've kind of like I'm most known in the UK scene from a writing perspective and media. And there's been a few times it's been like, oh, I raced you when I was 16, or I worked with you here, or you know me for whatever. And I kind of forgot, but equally, Girona Airport services 2 or 3 places in the UK. Yeah. So it's quite easy to get here from the UK, and it's the biggest race in Europe.
Yeah. Yeah.
We saw people from Australia today.
Yeah,
like that is a big trip.
That's
to go from Australia. Yeah.
So the course itself. So obviously I looked at the profile, and we're talking about the 200K course. Basically, it's front loaded with climbing, and then there's climbing at the end. And it's kind of flat in the middle. I guess I just wasn't, and that's kind of how Steamboat is too. I was not expecting how hard it was. Like this is a very, very, very hard event, and it's not just hard. Like the climbs are hard; they're steep. There's segments that are super steep, and then the descents were very hard. Is the way I would describe it. This is hard. It's not an easy gravel event at all. Very hard.
It's a climber's course, but the climber has to be mountain bike technical to be able to do anything, especially in the pro race. But honestly, in the amateurs, I'd say you've got to have a pretty good level of bike handling.
100%. Just
to get down the things without crashing or without sliding out or without just feeling petrified.
Yep.
Because there's a lot of gravel in Girona, and I dislike the course. We'll come on to this later. I'm not that technically minded of a rider, so obviously it doesn't play into my strengths. But equally, my biggest problem with the course is every time there's a fun descent, which is technical but not kill yourself technical, we choose a single track or the double track.
Take a right.
Yeah.
And it's go into a single track.
But there's a really cool descent here. No, but this descent is cooler.
Yeah.
And this is actually might be a problem with a lot of gravel races. It's like, but this is better. This is more technical. This is more epic, more that. It's like, doesn't have to be more epic. It's already pretty bloody epic.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's my biggest takeaway from the Traka this year is I know a lot of the trails in the Gavares, which are behind Girona, quite well. And there was a few times I was like, why are we doing this one? Because it's like got ruts or it's got rocks and there's just nicer stuff. And yes, you can argue that I'm being soft, but I think we've got to remember that there's 200 guys at the front of the pro race, but then there's 3,000 people behind us.
Yeah.
And you've got to make the race as exciting for the 3,000 as it is for us in the 200. And again, we'll come on to this, but you said you probably won't want to race it again.
No.
Another friend who raced the 100 today said he wouldn't want to race it again.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think the organisers have to remember that this is an event which is for the mass participation with a pro field at the front.
Yeah.
Rather than a pro, it's not an XCO mountain bike race.
100%. I just feel like, and now, like as I've gotten older and done more of these, I try to put myself in the shoes of the amateur enthusiast that's like super excited about being here and doing this. And I was like scared. Like I was like,
you said like you wouldn't have. I mean, we'll talk about this in the podcast, but I didn't do the 100K, and you were like, actually wouldn't have I
wouldn't have wanted you to
me to do it because
Yeah.
you've just been worried about me all day.
Yeah, I mean, it was just the descents. I mean, the descents are. I mean, I had a slow speed crash, and we'll talk about that in the
To
101.
me, I'm
but
just like, do you want to make money or not? And maybe the answer is no. Maybe the answer of the guy who founded Traka is like, I don't care.
I'd heavily disagree with that, to be honest. Just from what I know of the organisation, and I have an idea of their attitudes to where future entry fees may go. I heard a rumor around town. I think the tracker is so big worldwide that maybe you guys won't come back to race it, but it doesn't matter because somebody else has heard about Tracker and it's like they'll come next year. They're always going to sell.
But eventually that runs out.
That catches up to you because I think that's what BWR ran into.
Yep.
Like especially like the San Diego, some of the more technical, like Asheville's not as hard, but like some of the more technical races, they just beat people down, and now I think it's dying because people just start to say, oh, I don't want to do that because everyone complains about it, and it's like has a negative vibe now, and I worry that like. When I think about what makes a gravel race great, it's being able, at the end of the day, like none of us outside of, again, the 100 people at the front of the race are actually making money on this. We're all spending money to do this. And the great thing about when I think of steamboat gravel is you can bring all your friends out there, whether you're just starting out in gravel, whether you're really experienced, and everyone, for the most part, has an amazing day.
It's fun.
And loves the sport.
And they publicize the different, like, they have the green, the blue, the black, and they're like, black is hard as shit.
Yeah,
like,
you know
don't
you're
do this
getting
unless you
into,
really
yeah.
want to do it. And that's what you didn't get here. Like, again, you weren't prepared for how damn hard this race is.
I think if we were talking, say, the people you ride with at home or the people I have on my club ride at home, it's like you wouldn't recommend this race to anyone apart from an expert.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
You'd say, come to Girona, come watch it, come, honestly, bring your road bike. Like, go ride road in the day.
Yeah.
Come take part in the Tracker after parties, the podcasts, the
100%.
the event. Honestly, don't race it.
Yeah.
Just come and vibe. Like,
Yeah.
that's probably my biggest takeaway from Tracker. I said to Maggie, I think just this morning, I kind of hope I never race Tracker again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I live 700 meters from the start line. It's probably my least favorite race of the year, and I feel I have to do it because I live here, because it's the biggest in Europe.
Yeah, you do.
It doesn't play like it. Also, yes, I am biased because it doesn't play into my strengths, but it's like it's just not fun. And I come away from Unbound and go, that's fucked, but it's kind of a fun level of fucked.
Yeah.
Like Mid South is the same. You can have everyone from people can do their first century ride at Mid South, but you can also have a pro race at the front.
Yeah.
Can you imagine anyone doing Tracker as their first ever gravel ride?
No. Well, I did BWR as my first ever gravel ride, but
Yeah.
that was
a
bad
mistake. Well, that's a good example, though. I mean, I was just thinking about that the whole time I was out there, and I was thinking about people that have never done a gravel event before. And
I just kept thinking, what if we brought some of our friends who have gravel bikes, they've done gravel races, but they do not have time to ride a lot, or they're executives at big companies, and like at the end of the day, they just want to have fun, and they do not want to crash off the side of a cliff or hit their head on a rock. And I would feel honestly just guilty bringing people to this race. Like I would be very concerned for people.
The jeopardy of this course is high.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Traka, find some easier options. That's
Just
my
create,
sustainability
another course.
strategy for
Yeah,
you. Find some easier options.
If there's better roads, like sure, make the pro race hard. That's fine. Like it
make
is
that
what
hard as
that,
shit.
like y'all are pros. You're getting, making money and you want to put on a show. But for the average person, like just give a couple options or have another course option. If there's crazy amateurs out there that want to do the pro course, fine, at your own risk. But for someone like me, where I'm like, I need to go back in one piece to the US, like just do a course that's fun.
And there's so much of that here. You can literally go 360 degrees and have fun, safe days. It's like the Centify, which is another class mark event earlier in the year, has a couple of questionable sections, but all in all, good 2 days.
Yeah.
Like, bit technical, but it's only technical when you're racing at 50 plus K an hour down the sense. If you're just riding it, I'll do it on a training ride, happy. Tracker, I probably ride a lot of these trails once a year. Is that the track? Oh, okay, 5 times a year, including recon. Yeah. Because you avoid them, because then why would you ride them in training when you can go do something which is more fun and more beautiful?
Yeah. Yeah, and Michael was saying, he's like, I've maybe ridden like small bits of the course. He's like, but I've never ridden like
probably
the whole...
on his mountain bike.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, it would be fun on a mountain bike.
But I feel like we've beat down Traka enough.
Yeah.
But come for the wine.
Come for the wine, come for the food.
Oh, I would definitely.
This town, I want to move here.
What about Levi's? So you just did Levi's. We did Levi's in 2018. I told you.
2018 was a big year for us. We did a lot of things in 2018. We're fit.
We had a ton of fun, and I felt like this year, just like Traka, I feel like this was the year Levi's kind of blew up, like in terms of because of the pro race that he decided.
Well, the money.
It's because of the money.
Yeah, the money.
Like, I was just sitting with a person who's a Grand Tour contender. Let's say he's on for a podium at Grand Tour this year.
Yeah.
And he goes, 25 grand for a day?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he makes a lot of cash racing bikes in the World Tour. Levi's, the reason we all went was because it was the week after Seattle. It was the week after for me, Redlands.
Yep.
Chance to win an awful lot of money and ride bikes in beautiful places. There were so many things. Either you go...
Checks all the boxes.
Well, it's either a big prize pot, or you have a lovely day riding in wine country. You go wine tasting afterwards. It's a good week of training or a good recovery week.
Yeah.
There's an international airport an hour away, hour and a half away. It's just like perfect.
Yeah.
The event was really well organized. Okay, we can talk about things like it needs to be closed roads in the pro race, very similar to Traka. But I just go hats off to Levi. Like, he's kind of taken an event which I think was first formed in like 2009, like 15, 17 years ago, whatever it was.
Crazy.
And now he's gone, I want to do this well. He's got the money behind it. It was a good live stream. Wasn't perfect, but it was really bloody good.
Yeah, it was good.
What do you think about the idea of like that being a pro road race in from a completely different perspective, right? Like, you didn't have the big teams there. You didn't have the caravan. It was like a gravel race on tarmac.
It's a gravel race without the gravel, which was why it was beautiful. I was kind of kicking the can on the idea of what if this became a UCI?
Yeah.
That might be a Great World Championships course. And then I'm like, no, because the second you bring the UCI in, you bring a convoy in.
Yep.
And the reason it was so cool is because if one of the favourites punctured, you fix it yourself and you chase on. And he's burnt 3 matches fixing his flat. And it's so dynamic, the tactics didn't make sense. And then you had
Were there any team tactics going on?
No, not really.
Okay.
You had
were there any team? I guess the Project Echelon.
There was a couple of teams there, like Echelon or whatever,
Yeah.
and then it was unofficial alliances all day. It's like, I knew I wasn't going to get over the climbs with a bit of sickness, so I was like, cool, Alexi, we both ride for Envy.
Yep.
I'll do you a favour. You've done me a favour earlier in the year. I saw Matt Beers work for Keegan in the last 40 minutes. That was definitely financially motivated, let's be honest.
100%, yeah.
They're friends and Cape Epic partners, but 100% Matt was paid a significant amount of money for that 40-minute turn. Keegan won 25 grand because of it, so he could afford to. I kind of like it. People are going to be like, that's bad, but it's just cool because on the road you're constantly either in the race or going back watching it. Like, what the fuck's going on here? And that's what bike racing is. That's when it's fun.
You think more teams are going to go next year?
Yes and no. I don't think it's big enough for any European team to care about. And also,
even with the money?
No, because by the time you split it 6 ways, by the time you pay for everyone to go there, it's just not worth it. It's like even if we were there with Rebellion last year and we won, the 25 grand all of a sudden becomes $3,000 each, which is nice.
Yeah.
It's not as lucrative. I've had to spend 5 grand to get us all there, find an Airbnb. You kind of come out.
Right.
It was a good week. But I can see guys like, okay, bad example because his family grew up around the corner. Luke Lamberti finishing his classics block, going back home to see family. May as well race Levi's.
He was supposed to.
Exactly.
Yeah, we talked to him about that.
Or a few other Americans who are like, I'm going home anyway, or I'm not doing anything in Europe this week. Why not go home?
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be interesting, I guess, to think about what other organizers think about that tactic, because now you have this whole ecosystem of pros that are in the gravel world that can easily flip over to a road race.
I think it also feeds the beast, though, because I'd never heard of Levi's Fondo until this year.
Really?
You know, if anybody asks me, I'm like, go to Levi's. Like, it's great fun as an amateur.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, it was really fun.
There's like 8 courses. Everything we said is wrong with Traka is right with Levi's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
They've thought about everything.
Yeah.
Like, I think everything from like a 10K family ride with your kids to however long the stupid Growler is. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
There's decent aid stations. Everything's good. So you've got, okay, I'm a bad example. You've got Keegan and Alexi promoting this race because it's fun, they had a great day out, and it's big prize money. I imagine they'll sell more entries next year. It's not going to become... It's impossible for it to become profitable, in my opinion, if you're going to put that much prize money and a live stream on the line. But it does kind of help the greater cog.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad that we're not on the US crit scene this year. But again, conversation for another day.
Exactly. Maybe next year.
We'll see if I can find $250,000 to fund another team.
I mean, that's another thing I was thinking about being here is everything is so cheap. Like, I know we've like personally have talked about this a million times on this trip, but when I think about like how it would be really hard for teams who are used to like, if you could just go to the middle of nowhere of France and do a race and it's like dirt cheap and you stay in some like dirt cheap hotel with the food super cheap and then you win, you can make a lot of money like for the team. If you go to Levi's, you're staying in some of the most expensive areas in America with the most expensive food prices, with the most expensive rental cars and flights. And it's like, how do people make money if you don't live close enough to do that?
That is true, though. I say a lot of races up here just don't have the prize money, which races like Levi's or Speed Week put on. It's like the British National Circuit Series, similar to Speed Week or USA Crits or whatever. I don't know how much money we made at Rebellion last year, but it wasn't enough for it to really figure on any spreadsheet I had.
Yeah.
Whereas Speed Week, who walked away with $13,000 or $14,000 in 8 days of racing, which is enough to put in a spreadsheet and figure out how much I need to pay everyone.
Yeah.
So it's like, yes, the US is an awful lot more expensive as a rider and as a guy managing a team. There's also better ROI because if you just win a random race in France, nobody really knows. And you can argue the same Speed Week because we're not in the bubble right now. Like, yes, because Michael's there, we're following it. If Michael wasn't there, we wouldn't follow it.
Yeah, we wouldn't even pay attention.
No.
But
we wouldn't.
Still, there's $2,000 to win every night.
Yeah.
Which is enough to make it worthwhile.
Yeah.
It adds up. We have been, for our American listeners, we have been very shocked by how cheap it is to be here.
It's insane.
Well, even my rent. Like, we were just talking about rent in this little apartment we're sitting in.
Yeah.
I have a decent sized apartment in the middle of town, and it costs us €500 each. Like, there's 4 of us, and that's all in with bills in a 4-bed place.
Yeah.
People in Atlanta just jumped out their window hearing those prices.
Especially, I feel like, especially parents in Atlanta. Like, I always think about that. Like, our friends that have kids that are your age, maybe a little bit younger. And, you know, when Michael was like looking for his apartment, the options are like, oh, if you want to live in a decent area, it's like $2,500 to $3,000 just like for the most basic studio apartment. Like you can, I mean, when I moved to Atlanta, which was a while ago, it was like $750 for a month for an apartment, which is like, you could not find, you would be living in a very bad area in Atlanta to find that type of pricing.
Yeah.
And
back in my day.
I know, but which wasn't, I mean, it was a while, but not that long ago. It's just crazy how inflated it's gotten so fast.
And it has gone that way here too. I first moved here 4.5 years ago, and it was mainly just pros who lived here. Mm-hmm. And nowadays we've got a lot of, it's like pros plus people who just ride bikes and can work from home, like COVID everywhere. It just went up
A lot of influencers here.
A lot of influencers.
We need to
here.
ask George how much he paid for his apartment in Girona.
We should.
Back in the day.
We should.
True.
They started it off. I was telling Nikki, like, Lance and George are the ones that I don't know why they found this place, but they did, and they're the ones
Yeah,
that
like
started
what
it.
made them find this
Because
place?
they were living in the south of France, and then the French made doping a criminal offense.
Oh, that's
So
it.
they had to
like,
go, shit, I can't go to prison for doing all these drugs. Let's move to Spain.
Let's go to the Wild West of Spain.
And actually, the square we're sitting in, so we're sitting in the little square. It doesn't actually have a name, where Cafe Federal is and La Garina is. Lance's apartment is literally across the street from us.
Really?
Where he first lived. So if you look out of this window,
Yeah.
and diagonally that way,
Yeah.
that's where Lance's first place was.
Wow.
Or main place was.
I'm
That's
surprised
funny.
they don't have a little plaque with his name on it out front.
I've heard so many stories from that era of like fridges hidden in the back of wardrobes, and you'd see like the doping officer in the street, and like phone calls would go around like close the blinds, don't answer the door.
It was a network.
Yeah, and it's like I'd love to transport back to 2004 here, just
Yeah.
like for a day, and
Yeah,
see
yeah.
what it was like.
Yeah, it'd be so interesting.
Yeah.
Also, Girona back then, say I'm not Catalan, but according to some Catalans I ride with, it's like Girona wasn't a great town back then. It was pretty run down, and even 4 or 5 years ago, like there's been a lot of
Yeah.
renovations in the last few years.
Well, you can see it, like, because as soon as you get out of the old town, if you go, like, again, like where I don't exactly know, well, the way we came back into town today, I ran out that way. And so when you get out there, you're kind of like, oh, this is actually a little,
Yeah,
like,
it looks run down.
It's a little sketchy
Yeah.
kind of feeling.
It's definitely like, say I've been here a bit of time, and there's definitely it's at odds with the locals. Like there's a few times a year there's anti-cycling marches. There's a few stickers around the town, quite funnily quipped, eat sleep gentrify instead of eat sleep cycle.
Yeah.
And the town has definitely gone that way. It's forced a lot of locals out of this part of town,
Yeah.
and it's driven rents up quite heavily, which is something which you do have to mention, because a lot of people, you could argue, like myself, come here and make a British wage or an American wage, and you're like, wow, it's so cheap. But then you forget the average wage in Catalonia is like 22 grand a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, yes, for us it's cheap, but
For them, it's like,
them,
well, no, now
it's-
it's expensive.
exactly. But you can make the same argument for Boulder, for Atlanta, for
Everywhere.
London.
Inman Park.
Well, it's
And,
hard because like it's like with tourism comes opportunity for those who can take advantage of it. So even in 2018 when we were here, there weren't all these little boutiques. Like I was talking about how every boutique I walk into, it's like a woman or man who owns it, and it's like clearly their dream that has become realized, and they wouldn't be able to necessarily have that boutique or whatever store without all
Our
of
favorite
this
wine shop down there. on
yeah,
the
without
corner.
all of this tourism.
Yeah.
But then, for people that don't necessarily have the means to take advantage of the tourism, then yeah, you're just getting like pushed out of town.
Yeah, and like the little wine shop downstairs, Vime, it's like just little. Well, what it is, tiny, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's just
Yeah.
wine, fruit, and veg, and
It's
kombucha
amazing.
and stuff like that. And it's slap bang in the middle of town. Mm-hmm. It's where we buy all of our wine from. And you're right, it's mainly a tourist shop which services locals who like good wine. But then 4 doors down from that, there's a great little cheese shop owned by this lovely Catalan guy.
Yeah.
Where I buy all my nice cheeses from.
Yeah.
And then there's a great bakery, a K out of town called La Puntual, which everyone goes to because it is the best in town. And it's kind of, yes, it's allowed little things like that to thrive, but say equally, we've got a very privileged view of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%. I mean, that's literally anywhere. That's unfortunate. But
It's our neighborhood, everything.
yeah, but like what
Yeah.
what I was thinking about is how in our neighborhood there aren't a lot of locally owned businesses, because in America the small business has just gone, like it's almost impossible to start a small business in any big to mid to big size city in America, because rents are so expensive that like I would love to like open up a little wine shop like that on the corner, but if you were to do that in our neighborhood,
Oh, Vinoteca.
it's
Our wine shop
That's a
is a
big wine
locally
shop.
owned
That is
wine
a
shop.
but that's like compared to these wine shops, they would look at that and think that was a
Oh, yeah,
massive
yeah, yeah.
wine shop. So
Yeah,
their
no, it
sales
is.
are. But I'm saying to have like a truly like a little corner
Like a
store,
little, yeah,
where that's like
boutique.
maybe 500 square feet,
Yeah.
if that.
Well, it's like
Yeah.
we buy all of our dairy products from the equivalent size store of that, which just sells dairy products.
Yeah.
And then we get our fruit and veg from the market in the park.
Yeah, you can
And
do that.
You
in-
kind of like,
What are your go-to places? I know you got a list, and maybe we can link to your
Yeah.
list.
Great list.
What are your go-to places, like on a weekly basis? Where are you going?
daily I go to an area, which is a little coffee shop, pretty much a hole-in-the-wall place.
Is that on your side of the tracks over
My
there?
side of the river.
Okay.
Without doubt.
Do you ever? What do you come over to here? So you go to the wine shop here?
I probably come over this side of the river most days. It's like, for reference, I live
Yeah.
40 meters from the bridge, so it's hardly like I'm going
like we're literally walking across the bridge. Like
we could throw a football like across the bridge. And
I'd say the go-to's Oneria, one of the best coffee shops in the world. You have Laverick, the bar downstairs, incredible wine. Idle Hands is a favorite of mine, where we had lunch yesterday. Just because it does day and night. La Taverna, a very small, well, actually it's a pretty decent sized Catalan cafe, which just has a terrace in the sun and great sandwiches, bravas.
Where's that?
That's my side of the river.
Oh, it's on your...
It's like a little sandy square.
Okay.
A lot of locals go there. Sol Gastro Bar in Placa del Vi. Again, just great for tapas. The best patatas bravas in town.
Yeah.
And this new restaurant I found a few months ago called Hakuk, which is, again, everything. It's about 500 meters to our
nothing's
left.
far from each other.
You ever go to this place down here, the Lula?
I've had one rogue night out there on my birthday about 3 years ago. There's just, for every one place like that, there's 3 others which I found over the years, which are just...
We've eaten there 3 times, and it's just because it's downstairs, but it's awesome.
That's kind of what Girona's like, though. Everyone has their little spots. It's like, some people go to Horse category, some people go to, say, El Pasic, the bakery I recommended you guys go to. Everyone has their little spots for, like, date night or whatever, and the thing with Girona is, like, you go to your favourite spots all the time, and you're like, shit, there's another 30 spots I should check out. And every now and then you try a new one, it's like, that becomes one of your favourites. Like, there's a bar downstairs from me called Bagels and Beers, which is like, feels like it's home because it's owned by a Brit.
Bagels and beer?
Literally sells bagels and beers. Probably end up there in about an hour. It's in my building, so it's like, it's the proper local. And then, like, I live above a nightclub because, like, it's a small town, and that's the other beauty is you're in walking distance of everywhere. You can have a very messy night out and always get home. You can be late and still be there in a 2-minute walk.
We got a place for you. You haven't been. Gypsy.
I've been there.
Oh, damn, I was hoping you hadn't been.
It opened a few months ago, like the hotel across from where we are.
For us, it's the only place that has proper cocktails.
Yeah. Well, we haven't been here that long.
We've encountered in here.
Yeah, it makes sense because we are actually missing. We're missing, like, the thing with Girona. We're missing like a proper bar where you can just go in. And it's like there's good music playing, or because there's good beer, there's good wine. But there's not a proper bar. Yeah,
like I want a dirty martini. It's hard to find like.
And there's like good music playing. I think that's my issue with Girona is like it's such a small town that every cafe you go to, there's somebody you know, which is wonderful when you're feeling homesick. But sometimes you just want to get the train to Barcelona, which is 35 minutes, and get lost in a big city and be a normal person. So it kind of, but that's the other beauty of here. We could put these microphones down and be in Barcelona in an hour.
Yeah.
Do you know why when you order a Negroni, they don't put gin in it here?
That's unfortunately not my pay grade.
Okay, just wondering.
I think there's got to be some like liquor license situation where these bars they can't carry liquor because they're just selling wine and beer, and then they can't put gin in a Negroni because they don't have their liquor license.
So for our Americans and Italians listening, when you order a Negroni in Girona, you get a drink that is Campari and
vermouth,
sweet vermouth. With an orange slice. There's no gin in it. It's really weird.
It's just like a vermouth spritz, basically, without the spritz.
Is that good or bad?
I
think it's bad. It's way too sweet, and it's not the point. The point is the gin. I mean, you're Brit. you can appreciate the gin.
I don't drink gin, to be honest. But that is, I say I don't drink cocktails, but there's a lot of places, like there's a place across near the park, which the name is, I'm forgetting it, which is stupid for a podcast, but just has the best, it has like 12 beers on tap, the best croquettes in town. And that's kind of the thing. It's like, if Maggie and I are sitting at home, we're like, what do we want tonight? We just want to nip out for croquettes, or for a glass of wine, or for bravas. It's like every place has its own thing. It's like you don't just go to one restaurant. It's like, if you want something specific, you can walk there in 5 minutes. So you just go get that one thing, go home, make dinner, go to bed.
Random question. We were sitting at Draps, which I don't recommend. It was not very good. But as we were sitting there,
we'll bleep that out.
Why? We don't care about Draps.
Okay. All right.
Are you friends with the owners?
No, fun fact. Pretty much accidentally, I didn't, but half the team rented apartments above that place for about a year.
Really?
Directly above. So we had 3 of the 5 apartments in the building.
That's why when I said we're Draps, you're like, we're good.
It was not good. I don't know why. Like,
anyway. I've got a table somewhere else.
Yeah.
They walked by. I was like, you just walked by us. Come back. And he was like, no, we're good.
It was not good. Which, that's why we found a table when everything else was packed. But neither here nor there. But while we were sitting there, like, dueling bagpipes came through. It was like one like band of bagpipes, and then like they were wearing one thing, and then like another band of bagpipes were coming through, but we're in like a completely different outfit. Police were escorting them, so I kind of felt like maybe it was some sort of march of some sort. But what?
I don't think it was a protest. So when I first moved here 4 or 5 years ago, I did this thing on Instagram called like Girona things, which would be like bagpipes or music or the parade, which marches through the town every second week. And now as we were walking, Maggie and I were walking through town last night trying to find dinner. I went, fucking Girona. Like, I'm just trying to find dinner and walk through town to get to a restaurant. And there's like 20 dudes playing the bagpipes in my way.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's really cool the first couple of years you live here. Like, oh, wow, there's like a new celebration.
Yeah.
And you get to a point, it's like, what's going on in town today?
Yeah.
And there's a few celebrations which are really cool.
Yeah.
But there's also oftentimes you're like...
So you have no idea why they were playing the bagpipes?
Honestly, that happens once every 10 days.
So it's just random...
Why bagpipes, though?
I don't know, because next week it'll be drums, the week after it'll be the flutes. And it's just... It was probably some celebration which I'm offending someone by saying I have no clue about.
Is the Catalan independence movement still happening?
Yeah, it's pretty large. So you'll pretty much only see Catalan flags here apart from the official government building. Like, especially if you go deep into the mountains, menus are just being Catalan. You're often just given a Catalan menu first here. So Catalan is definitely I'd say first language spoken here.
Yeah.
The main language if they can.
Yeah, and we've seen that for the years. I mean, we've
we're
actually never been in any other part of Spain other than Catalonia.
Catalonia.
But we've seen that in Barcelona and Mallorca and here. It's interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
So, rest of the season. We're in May. I was thinking about this. So, we're in May. So, that means for you, half your season's over.
Which is wild, hey?
Isn't that crazy?
Because I came back from the US like 10 days ago. I was like, cool, I won Rattlesnake, Gravel Race in Texas, won a stage of Redlands. I would jokingly say, cool, successful year, let's call it. Like, there was
I'm done.
Yeah.
There was a point I won 2 races in a row. Like, I started 2 races, finished 2 races, stood on the top of the podium in 2 races. Like, should I just stop racing?
We're in yellow at Redlands.
Win record?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
But no, so I'm at the point now, it's like I'm going to Unbound prep. So Unbound's in 3 weeks, big training block coming up. And I sometimes struggle to get excited for the second half of the season. Just because most of my big targets are first half of the season.
Yeah.
Most of the races I love are first half of the season. I find myself trying to find things which excite me in the second half. Which I think is just how the calendar works. Like, even Rebellion last year, it was like, I finished at Speed Week.
Yep.
Which is pretty much now,
at
the start of May. And I'm like, cool, what else excites me this
year? How do we top that?
Yeah, no, genuinely.
Yeah.
It's just horses for courses. It just happens to be that all my favourite races in the year are start of May. I do love Unbound. I hate Unbound, but I love Unbound. I want to go back there and have a clear race. And after Unbound, it's kind of a reassess, and my job for the next couple of weeks is find out what I do for the next part. And there's so many races, like, I'll do Leadville one year. It won't be this year. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of figuring out what projects to do. Like, it's looking likely I'll go to Namibia in August to do there's a UCI there, but we want to do a bikepacking trip too, just cause can.
Yeah.
Like that simple. A sponsor recommended it to me. I was like, cool, why not? But there's not a race which really, really, really gets my pulse going. June, July, August, which is kind of. But I feel. Speaking to Michael before, he's kind of similar. Speed Week is obviously his big thing with Athens. And
100%, yeah.
You're trying to find things to fit the calendar, which I'll probably do an FKT attempt, so try and build a gravel time trial bike. Bit of fun, go after an FKT around London or...
Fastest known time.
Basically FKT. A time trial, my specialty.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't get overly excited about Big Sugar, Little Sugar. So it is very much trying to find things. I want to have a good crusher. Like, the goal is to podium at Crusher and the Tusher.
Yeah.
But that's more of like a...
You are doing Big Sugar, Little Sugar?
I will do Big Sugar.
Okay, Big Sugar, okay.
I've heard it's a good party.
It is.
So,
I highly recommend it.
And it's a great way, event. Great way to end the season.
Great event.
So
awesome.
But but yeah, like I've had this debate a lot with my coach, with my team around me. It's like, where do we target which not just excites me as an athlete, but also gets enough kind of, not press, but like the rest of the media side. And for me personally, that's mostly the first half of the year. So yes, I'm about to go into a big training block, but after Unbound, it's like kind of feels like that big.
Have you and Maggie ever talked about doing something together? Like going to a gravel event or doing some kind of event together, like to race something?
Our calendars just don't work.
Yeah. Just because she's on a real pro, like world tour team. And
so like the beauty of what I do, say what Michael does, is we can do what we want, and there's not really anyone to tell us what to do. Because it's like, even if a sponsor kicks off, you're like, no, I'm going here for this reason. Yeah. And usually there's an understanding because you're going there for everyone's sake. With Maggie, if the team tells her to go to a race tomorrow, she goes to the race tomorrow. Yeah. Because she's on a salary and she does what she's told.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're trying to arrange for her to come out to the US. I'll be in Vancouver with her family. And it's like, cool, can we try and get you there too? And there's a one day somewhere, and then there's another one day which she might have to go to. Maybe she has to go to the Giro. So it's hard to do.
Yeah.
And also the races which suit me really don't suit Maggie, and vice versa, because we're the two complete different rider types.
Yeah, that's good.
Like,
good
she's
point.
a sprinter, I'm a time trialist who climbs.
Yeah.
She can't climb very well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's hard.
I was just thinking from a content perspective, that could be cool.
Yeah.
And also,
y'all could figure it out.
For a holiday perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, we never get to travel and race together.
Yeah.
It would be really nice to do. And I would love for her to do something like, I go do the Unbound 200, she does the Unbound 100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no pressure on her to race. She's there just for fun.
Yeah.
Because, like, everyone expects, Human Powered Health Pro goes to Unbound. It's like, no. She's here for fun. I'd love to do that.
Maybe bring her to Big Sugar.
She's in China.
Oh.
Because that's where she gets all the UCI
God
points.
damn it, Human Powered Health.
Wow.
Yeah.
China? They have UCI races in China?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
They've paid the UCI a bucket load of money to the end of year gala there.
Wow. Huh.
So.
Is that a new thing, or is that like always been that way?
It's been happening for a while.
Oh,
It's
okay.
been a few years.
Okay.
It's just where the UCI decide the season ends.
Yeah. Interesting.
Well, we know a few folks at Human Powered Health. If we need to
Pull
in
some
a word,
string.
just pull some strings.
Put them in touch and tell them to go to Unbound and whatever.
He might be listening right now. So.
Well, no, it is a good point, and I'd say it's probably a conversation you guys have had with your program. It's like, where do you go after? How do you top speed week?
Yeah.
Like, genuinely.
That's what I've been thinking of. I mean, we've got nationals. He's going to do nationals.
Time trial.
Time trial is a big focus in the crit. I mean, I think he'll be one of the favorites for the crit this year, especially with Luke not going. So, that, and then after that, it's hard. Like it's like a bunch of gravel races and
honestly,
stuff like that.
I found last year I finished Unbound, and I'm like, my brain was more in planning 2025 than it was in racing.
Yeah.
Because you're like, cool, you do a mock calendar, you figure how much money it's going to cost, you figure what you want to pay yourself on top of that, and a pretty big number comes out. You're like, righto, time to start signing contracts.
Yeah.
And like that last third of the year, as much becomes about winning races to kind of get on that radar to sign the contracts as it does, what do I want to do next year?
Yeah.
Yep.
Because if you finish your season at Big Sugar on October 17, 18, whatever it is, and then you start thinking about next year, it's 3 months too late.
Too late, yeah.
And that's what I'm worried about with Speed Week being so soon in the season, is like right now there's a lot of momentum with sponsors getting attention for Michael.
100%.
But it's like if we don't find a way to keep that attention going, by the time you're in Q4 trying to plan really Q3, Q4.
Basically August.
Yeah, August. Yep. Then you're like, how do we keep top of mind?
Yeah. Yeah. So for people listening, like all these, I don't know about you, but all these decisions in my mind are made in August, September, early September,
October. Like I signed with Envy in November.
Yeah.
I signed with Castelli in December. Like it was a renewal, so it's like we're going to do
But
this.
Envy was like a surprise for you. Like you were shocked by that, and
it's like the conversation first happened start of September. Like I'd met the guys at Sea Otter in April, but it wasn't until the whole Rebel thing went under I was like, shit.
Yep.
Need a bike sponsor.
Gotta figure something out.
Don't have a team anymore. Don't have my own team anymore.
And that's maybe the last thing I'll ask you about is what we were talking about earlier today. So you went from last year, 2024, building that team and the camaraderie of that team that you built with Rebellion, which we saw firsthand. Like we were literally there and saw it, was amazing. And you guys accomplished a lot. Now this year, back to solo, back to independent Joe. It's all about you. Are you thinking about 2026, could there be another team? Just ask him.
If I could, I would.
Yeah.
I said I wouldn't this time. Well, not this time, last year. Off season last year, I was like, right, team era is done. Time to focus on me. I had a pretty good start to the year. Like, I was probably favourite to win yellow at Redlands, especially after the time trial. And even being in the Good Guys setup, which is a team out of New York City I was guesting for, I was like, this is so much fun. Racing with the boys again. Like, I've only met these guys 5 days ago, but it's just fun. And I love racing for myself. I love being able to sort my own sponsors, do my own calendar. But I miss racing with the boys around me and racing for the guys. And, like, yes, I would. And I've spent a lot of hours in the last, pretty much since being in California, because I probably got the question 2-3 times a day at Redlands, are you doing another team? And then Speed Week came around, which obviously we won half of last year. So the questions keep coming, we won this race last year, you're going to do it again? I would, 100% I would. Mm-hmm. It's just like, you've got to be realistic. Does it make sense to do a team for a whole year? Yep. How much money does that cost? Yep. It's a lot. If you're going to pay everyone, like what I'm making now as a privateer, it's not masses, but still, if you multiply that by 8-9 guys, you're already at 200 grand before you've even moved. Mm-hmm. If somebody came to me tomorrow and was like, here's a check for a significant amount of money, I think I could pull together a very, very good list of endemic partners straight away who'd want to get behind it.
Industry partners.
Industry partners. Yep. Uh-huh. But you need the cash from somewhere else because industry partners just can't afford it. Yeah. But yes, my passion is still... I still want to win races, but I kind of... In a way, I'm bored just doing it by myself because it's like, it's just about me. And it's like, it's hard to build a project around one person. Like, even like you guys with Michael, you're doing a really good job, but it's like, you got to be a Michael Garrison fan as much of a cycling fan. Whereas it was easy to get behind Rebellion. Yeah. Like, because Rebellion's it was a project and it was a bigger than one rider. Yeah. If we're sitting here in 12 months, I think if I'm just doing solo and I haven't got something like this project going on, I'll be slightly disappointed. Yeah. But that involves me doing a team again. Yeah. Yeah. Which was a lot of work.
I mean, we all have a lot of plans, and I think this trip has been great because it's allowed us all to connect together and... You know, because it's the same thing with us. Like, we have a lot of dreams and plans that if we were sitting here 12 months from now and we hadn't executed closer to those, we would be disappointed as well. And I think that there's other models that we've talked to you about that we've been exploring that we haven't even filled you in that I think we can make work. But it requires a lot of moving parts to kind of come together.
Yep. I think also, this is bike racing, so we want to win bike races. I could have won the mountain stage of Redlands if I had someone pulling in the valley for me for 10 minutes to bring the early break back. Michael's got a better chance of winning Athens if he had someone to bring that break back. Yep. Mm-hmm. We have the same problem at 2 very different races.
Exactly. Yeah. That was the one time we were like, God damn, like if we just had a guy. Yeah. To like, because none of those teams would chase that early break. If we just had one guy or 2 guys that could have just chasing, at least keep them from lapping the field. Yeah. Until they get tired, and then that would have been the difference in it.
It's like we couldn't have won Spartanburg last year without a team. Yep. Because what we did required ride the front of the peloton, ride the front of the break. Yeah. Yep. Sometimes bike racing means you need other people. Yep. Which definitely. Privateering is spectacular until you're in that situation.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. It's true. All right. Well, this is a good talk. Yeah. I'm glad we got a chance to catch up.
It's been great.
This is a big segment.
Yes. Yeah. This might be the whole podcast.
All right.
All right. Great talking to you.
Ciao.
On a hillside,